This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good afternoon, Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for November 12, 2022. And in the news this afternoon, Trelawney crash victims identified. The police have now released the names of the two people who were killed Saturday morning when a bus transporting hotel workers ran into a parked truck along the Braco Main Road in Rio Bueno, Trelawney. They are 28-year-old fabric attendant Reese Anderson of Lilyfield in Bamboo, St. Anne, and the 32-year-old housekeeping coordinator Mikhail Thompson of Brenda Hill in Ocherias, St. Anne. It is reported that the bus was transporting the workers from St. Anne to Falmouth about 4:20 a.m. On reaching a section of the Braco Main Road, the driver lost control of the vehicle and collided with a parked cold storage truck. The impact resulted in the driver and several passengers sustaining injuries and being rushed to the Falmouth Hospital, where the two men were pronounced dead. The driver and 8 passengers remain hospitalized. Cashpot outlet in Hanover gutted by fire. A fire of unknown origin extensively damaged a Cashpot outlet in Hopewell, Hanover on Saturday morning. Passing motorists reportedly raised an alarm about 4 a.m. after fire was seen coming from a section of the building. The Sandy Bay Police and the Lucy Fire Department were called, but when the firefighters arrived, the sections of the building and its contents were already destroyed. The building, which contained 2 Cashpot machines, also housed a bar and a gaming lounge. Damage is estimated at approximately $30 million. Private session of JLP's 79th annual conference underway in Mobay. Delegates of the Jamaica Labour Party are now meeting in the private session of the organization's 79th annual conference at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James. JLP leader Andrew Holness is expected to be ratified as head of the party for another year, with his 4 deputy leaders also expected to return based on the nominations submitted up to Thursday. There has been only 5 nominations so far, 4 deputy leaders for the 4 area councils and 1 nomination for the post of leader, which is the present leader, the Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Desmond McKenzie, chairman of this year's conference, said at a press briefing Thursday. The incumbent deputy leaders are Desmond McKenzie for Area Council 1, James Robertson, Area Council 2, Michael Stern, Area Council 3, and J.C. Hutchinson in Area Council 4. In the meantime, delegates are also expected to discuss the policies of the party and the government, especially as it relates to the impact they are having on the most vulnerable citizens of the country. JLP General Secretary Dr. Harris Chang noted that the National Identification System will also be high on the agenda of this year's private session. NIDS, he said, forms a critical part of the foundation that will help the government to facilitate and engage all citizens. The public session of the conference will be held on November 20 at the National Arena in St. Andrew. Cop wounded in shootout in Spanish Town, alleged suspect in hospital. A police constable and an alleged gunman are nursing gunshot wounds following a shootout in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Friday night. Information reaching the news is that about 9 p.m., 2 policemen were traveling in a motorcar along Old Harbor Road. When the lawmen stopped at the Innswood traffic light, an armed man exited a white coaster bus and opened fire at them. The cops, who are stationed in Kingston, reportedly returned the fire, resulting in the assailant fleeing on foot. After the shooting, the constable observed that he was shot in the leg and was taken to the Spanish Town Hospital. While the cop was receiving treatment at the hospital, a man turned up at the facility, suffering from gunshot wounds to his abdomen and hand. He was identified as the suspect who had earlier attacked the police. The suspected shooter is now in hospital under police guard. The cop's injury is not considered life-threatening. Westmoreland farmer identified in cop shooting. A Westmoreland farmer was on Friday charged with wounding with intent and illegal possession of firearm after he was positively identified as the man who rode the motorcycle when a police officer was shot and injured in Drive Road, Little London, Westmoreland on August 10. The accused has been identified as 32-year-old Ian Campbell of Spring Gardens District, Little London in the parish. Reports from the police are that the police officer was at his home along with other relatives when a motorcycle with 2 men aboard drove into the yard. The pillion disembarked the motorcycle and brandished a firearm and opened gunfire at the lawman, who was sitting at a window to the side of the house, hitting him in the region of his neck. The men then escaped. The injured officer was rushed to the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital, where he was treated and admitted in serious condition. The report said on Monday, Campbell was positively identified by an eyewitness as the man who rode the motorcycle with another man who shot and injured the police officer. Opposition unhappy about a small sum allocated to fishers affected by Rio Cobra fish kill. The parliamentary opposition has expressed disappointment with the allocation of funds to fishers affected by the July fish kill in the Rio Cobra in St. Catherine. Minister with responsibility for the environment, Matthew Samuda, on Wednesday announced that affected fishers will be awarded a total of $16 million in compensation. But opposition spokesperson on land, environment and climate change, Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, has asserted that the fishers need greater assistance. She said they suffered the largest percentage reduction in the sum recommended against the sum received. Senator Fraser-Binns contends that the government should shoulder the shortfall and utilize the funds to adequately address the social consequences of the pollution. Senator Fraser-Binns contends that the government should shoulder the shortfall and utilize the funds to adequately address the social consequences of the pollution. She is also questioning whether the October 31 deadline for the completion of Windalco's effluent pond has been met. Senator Fraser-Binns also wants the National Environment and Planning Agency to update the country periodically on the progress of the closure plans and any new environmental bonds by companies. Jamaican fishermen back home after being detained in Colombia. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade has confirmed that 33 of the 34 Jamaican fishermen and 4 nationals from the Dominican Republic are back on Jamaican soil after an hours-long journey by sea from Colombia. The boat's captain remains in custody there and is facing charges. The repatriation was facilitated by a joint operation between the Jamaican and the Colombian authorities. Members of the Jamaica Defense Force and the Passport Immigration and the Citizenship Agency met them at sea and concluded the handover process. The Colombians had seized a vessel with the Jamaicans, 4 Dominicans, a Honduran, and 2 Nicaraguans on board, claiming that the vessel was illegally fishing in their waters. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the Dominicans were able to prove that they had been legally employed in Jamaica and were therefore repatriated along with the 33 Jamaicans. The Honduran and the Nicaraguans were unable to establish their legal status in Jamaica, and arrangements are being made for them to be returned to their respective countries. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.